Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty good myself because today we're finally back with another video topic to make. I think it's been about 3 days now since my last video at the time of posting this, and whenever I go a couple days without uploading, 99.9% of the time, it's not because I want to, it's just because there's nothing to talk about. I'm sure most of you guys know how dry summer usually is in terms of gaming. I mean, what have we heard so far? We had the Microsoft Bethesda thing, and we got the God of War Ragnarok release date, and that's basically been all the major stuff from what I know. But we actually got some very interesting news yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that, and I actually found this out via Review Tech USA, so huge shout out to Rich. I'm sure you guys all know who he is, especially if you've been following the Quantum TV drama. But yeah, basically he uploaded a video that I thought was very interesting, talking about how the PlayStation 5 could potentially be getting a price increase. Yes, that's right. The PlayStation 5, a almost 2-year-old console, is not getting the price lowered, it is getting the price raised. Now, I need to immediately say it has not been confirmed that the price increase will happen, but basically, I'm going to pull up this article right here I have from Push Square, where it says Sony has failed to rule out a potential PS5 price increase, as it said there is nothing specific to share on the subject. Speaking to investors in an earnings call earlier this week, the company was asked about a hypothetical hike after it bumped the MSRP of a number of its home electronics, including cameras, headphones, speakers, and more. The semiconductor shortage has been blamed for the changes, alongside the increased cost of raw materials, manufacturing, and distribution. So, as you can tell from the article I just read, basically, they haven't confirmed that it's going to happen, but based on the fact that they have been increasing the prices of all their other home electronic equipment, it only seems logical that the PlayStation would be next. And I just wanted to kind of take a few minutes out of today. Just thank you for spending your time with me here, if you are here, by the way. But yeah, I just wanted to take a couple minutes to sort of give my thoughts on it, because I ran a community poll, and I think 95% of you guys, or 90%, something like that, said that I should make a video giving my thoughts on this, so that's what we're here to do. Now, immediately my thoughts are, it says in the article that, the semiconductor shortage is to blame, and also the fact that, the cost of raw materials is going up, and yes, this might be part of the problem, but at least to me, it seems like Sony is making so much money, not just off the video game industry, but off of all their different industries they're in as a whole, that I really don't think they actually need to increase the price of the PS5. I think they're just trying to, not, because they already take a loss on it, or if they sell enough, I think they make a couple bucks off of it or something like that. So either they're just trying to not lose more money, which again, they don't really need to worry about because they already make so much, or they're trying to generate a little bit of additional money. Now, actually, funnily enough, I bet a lot of you guys didn't actually know this, and I didn't actually know about this until very recently, but back in 2014, Sony actually increased the price of the PlayStation 4 in Canada from 399 Canadian dollars to 449 Canadian dollars. And in this case, it was actually much more justifiable, because basically it was also selling for 399 US dollars at the time. And if we plug this into a little currency converter real quick, we get here that 400 Canadian dollars, 399.99, comes out to 311 US dollars. So basically, if you lived in Canada, you were basically getting a $90 discount on the PlayStation 4 when you bought it. They then, increased the price to $450, which again, plugging it into our little thing here, brought it up to 350 US dollars. So they were still making less money off of the Canadian sales of consoles than the US sales of consoles, but at least they weren't making as much less as they were previously. So there, yes, it's kind of crappy that they released it at one price and then increased it, but at least it was kind of justifiable there. Here, we're not talking about just Canada specifically. Even if we were, I actually did some research, and the PlayStation 5 costs in Canadian dollars, what it would equate to in US dollars is 500, which I believe is 630 Canadian dollars is equal to 500 US dollars. So it's being sold at the price it like actually should be. But again, back to what I was saying before, forget about Canada for a second, because this is a general increase as far as we know. Like, they haven't revealed any details because, you know, all they've said is, oh, it's not off the table, but we don't have really anything to add on it, which is basically corporate speak for it's going to happen eventually. So now that the little history lesson on Canada is over, let's move on to why I think this is complete BS and Sony has no right to do this. Well, I guess I phrased that wrong. Technically, they do have the right to do it, but it would absolutely suck if they did. And like I said earlier, I know I read in the article, it said, oh, the cost of production is going up, cost of raw materials is going up, there's the semiconductor shortage, yada, yada, yada. But the way I see it is Sony is already taking a loss on the consoles anyway, so I can't imagine the loss they would take due to increased prices would be much worse. Also, haven't manufacturing prices and like raw materials and stuff, hasn't that stuff been getting more expensive for a while? So if this was really such a big problem, I would think they would have done this earlier, but I could be wrong about that. Again, remember, I'm not like a business expertise or anything like that. I'm not like majoring in business in college or anything. I'm just a random dude sitting behind a mic on the internet giving his thoughts on this. This is the biggest problem I have with it, is the fact that, like, okay, manufacturing costs and stuff are going up, but guess what else is going up? The price of literally everything else, especially if you live in the United States, gas. Also, inflation, again, in the United States is a huge issue right now. So basically, money is becoming more and more worthless because of inflation, and on top of that, things are getting more expensive as a result. So now people have less, you know, just free spending money. Like, people have to focus on what's important in life, you know, gas, feeding themselves, keeping like their home up, you know, paying rent, whatever it may be. So the fact that while all this is going on, Sony has the audacity to increase the price of their entertainment products, which, you know, is supposed to let people sort of escape from the stress, unwind, all that. The fact that Sony could potentially be making that even more expensive is just absurd to me. Because guess what? Sony's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They can take a loss on some stuff because guess what? Like I said earlier, they're gonna make that money back plus some, you know, with all their other industries and even just their gaming industry alone. They make way more back than what they lose on the sale of each PS5. Not only that, but 500 has sort of just been the cap for what consoles have costed. Now, I know there's been like some crappy like side consoles that have cost like $800, $1,000 or whatever. Not talking about those, talking about the main three competitors. And even in the case of the three competitors, I think the highest a console ever went was actually Sony with the PlayStation 3. And, you know, that $600 price tag really blew up in their faces. Just imagine if Jeff Bezos decided to increase the cost of shipping by like $5 extra or something like that, or 5%, whatever it would be. I have no idea how that works. But just imagine this absurdly rich dude who has all the money in the world and can just throw it around willy-nilly. He's gonna increase the price of things for people who don't have all that money to throw around, who in a lot of cases probably need to save as much as possible because, you know, especially in the US, it's kind of going to crap right now. I understand a company's main goal and pretty much only goal is to make money, but again, Sony was already taking a loss on the sale of each PS5 as it was, so what's wrong with taking a little bit more of a loss, especially when, you know, you have such a massive game coming out this year, God of War Ragnarok, which is no doubt going to bring in probably hundreds of millions of dollars. And their competitor, Microsoft, you know, they're not doing this. I understand Microsoft paid for chip priority, but they're still affected by the higher prices on the raw materials and stuff as well. And we haven't heard anything about Microsoft even thinking about doing this yet. Now, this is actually a good segue into the final, I guess, section of this video. I don't really do these videos in sections, as you guys know, but I guess this is the final thing I kind of wanted to mention, is how this kind of sets a bad precedent for, like, the gaming industry in the future. Because first we saw, you know, Facebook. I'm going to call them Facebook. I don't care if their name is Meta. I hate that name. You know, we have Facebook, and they're increasing the price of the Oculus Quest 2 2 years after it came out from $300 to $400. The whole reason they made it cheaper than the original Oculus Quest, because for those of you guys who don't know, the original Oculus Quest was $400, and then they made the Quest 2 $300, but it was more powerful because, you know, they wanted it to be a better product and they wanted it to be more affordable because, you know, it was made in 2020 when a lot of people were struggling financially. But the thing is, people are probably struggling financially more now than they were back in 2020, I would argue. But yeah, anyway, basically they're going to be raising the price of the Quest 2 from $300 up to what the original Quest was priced at $400 2 years after the product has been released. And now Sony is potentially talking about doing the same, and do not get it twisted. It is no coincidence these events are coinciding with each other. Again, it could have to do with the shortage of raw materials and stuff, but again, that's been happening for a little while now, so I think it probably would have affected them a little bit sooner if this was actually going to be the case. But I think my final stance I'm going to take on this is basically, I think they're seeing what Facebook is doing, and they're saying, let's try to see if we can get away with that. Let's see how greedy we can be before it really starts to bite us in the butt. And honestly, I think this sets a really bad precedent for the future because this stuff is already happening. Prices are going up instead of down like they usually do, where, you know, like the Xbox One X, for example, it launched, it was $500. Now it's only $300, or like I think it was discontinued. But basically back when the Series X and S were first coming out, the console was only $300 instead of $500 because, you know, technology gets outdated, prices go down, new technology comes out, the prices are higher for the new stuff. But now we're seeing a reverse situation where companies are charging more a couple years after instead of less. And the thing is, if Oculus is about to get away with this, if they're allowed to get away with this, and then Sony on top of that is allowed to get away with this, I have no doubt in my mind that Microsoft might try to do the same thing as well. Because especially in Microsoft's case, they are taking a huge loss on each Series S that's sold because, you know, it's an extremely good console for an extremely good price. So that's the way I see it. Basically, if Facebook and Sony are allowed to get away with this, I have no doubt that Microsoft will try to get away with it as well. And this might go outside of gaming because, you know, Sony's been increasing the prices of their other home, like, electronics and appliances and stuff. So I do fear that if these companies are allowed to get away with this and people just give into it, then it will just keep happening in the future. I mean, that's what companies like to do. They like to follow trends that other companies do if it means it can make them more money. We saw that with, you know, Fortnite. They started the Battle Pass trend, and now, like, every single game, even non-Battle Royale ones, have a freaking Battle Pass. And I'm afraid it will succeed, and the reason being is simply because of scalpers, because you know what's going to happen. Scalpers are going to buy the units at the higher prices. Sony's going to get the additional money. They're going to see, holy crap, we're still selling out of this stuff even at higher prices. Maybe we can push it a little bit higher, or maybe we can just do this for other products in the future, when in reality a lot of people aren't even okay with it, and it's just scalpers buying the entire stock because they know there's going to be people willing to pay like $1,500 for a PS5, which don't really understand that personally, but hey, your money, your choice. And that's kind of what I want to end on, honestly, is basically this is probably going to succeed. Like, even if they get a bunch of backlash on the internet, if they do decide to go through with it, it's probably going to succeed simply because scalpers are going to give them all the money they want. Scalpers are going to make the additional money off of, you know, scalping them. And then Sony is going to be perfectly justified in raising the price. Microsoft sees that it's a success, and then they might start heading down that road as well. I really hope it doesn't happen, but again, that's what I do unfortunately think is going to happen. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm very interested to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you all next time.